It blows my mind how few folks really understand the assets that we have in this country, and not just ag and forestry and fisheries and marine that I keep kind of, harping on, but we have stranded assets, and we have assets like ports. There's 500 ports in this country, maybe only a dozen or 15 of them that are sort of, nationally recognized ports, but another few hundred smaller ports that we can leverage with regards to moving feedstock, moving biomass, moving product, keeping our economy going. Communication to increase awareness of what those opportunities look like around economic development enablers and economic development organizations within our provincial and federal governments. Because the conversations that I've had with federally, with Finance and Treasury, with folks within ISED, they understand where that knowledge exists, but they don't access it. So only when there's a need, when they need something explained, do they reach out to maybe the NRC or NSERC or one of the other sort of science and technology-based entities. But apart from that, Finance and Treasury responsible for where all the money goes, who gets access to it, how it gets delivered, and then the economic development mandate falling within ISED. Yet, if we go back to what the hell's the foundation of our economy in this country, oil and gas, forestry, agriculture, fisheries and marine, and that's it. And those pieces of our economy don't fall under the purview of ISED and don't fall under the purview of the regional development agencies across our country. So we need to better connect. We need to better communicate. We need to open the eyes of folks within our government, and we need that leadership and the vision to be able to connect all of those dots.
So it's almost like
it's awesome.
It's almost like we've assumed that these primary industries don't need our investment in innovation. We're going to innovate somewhere else down the stream in manufacturing or whatever, and we're kind of given up on the core of our economy. And in terms of innovation priority, I think that's so fascinating. And so just to bring it back to agriculture, so how do you said there's no mandate for innovation or economic development, no mandate for economic development, which I've brought up now twice within agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. And then you mentioned leadership. And then you also spoke somewhat highly of the government. So I'm going to wrap those three things together. So how do we make agriculture and Agri-Food Canada a leader within agriculture? And maybe that's changing the mandate to include economic development. But how do we get that agency to be dragging agriculture forward?
I would really love to see them expand on their cluster models. So they've got agri-side-based clusters, which are really focused around R&D, and they've been running these for about 15 years. Maybe 20, but definitely 15. And they've been successful at that early stage identification and somewhat validation around some of these technologies. So coming out of academic institutions, maybe there's an early adopter, but the technology isn't completely validated, and it's definitely not at a commercial scale. But building upon that to commercialize and actually scale up, a further focus down that pathway would be grand. And frankly, there isn't really anyone that does that. There's an assumption that industry is going to take it after it's been semi-validated, and they're going to put the investment in. First of all, they're going to be able to identify it. They're going to want to adopt it. They're going to put the investment in to adopt it, and they're going to take all the risk to do it. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen within the culture in Canada. It certainly doesn't happen within the business culture in Canada. So we need funding, whether it's AFC, whether it's a mix of AFC and NRCan, or it's a new national type program, like a Building Canada program that's all about commercializing these technologies here in Canada and helping them scale in Canada with early adopters and adopters in general, along these value chains. So we need manufacturers in Canada to adopt the IP and the technology that's being created here in Canada. And if that means de-risking it from a procurement perspective from government, then we should be initiating those incentives. If it means putting ICTs in place to de-risk the business environment, to allow these technologies to grow and to allow those early adopters to invest in these technologies and take them on, then so be it. I mean, why it takes 5 years to develop a tax credit in this country is beyond me, and why we can't have tax credits that are cross-sectoral in nature as opposed to, we're going to do clean tech and it's only going to be available for solar and wind. It's like, well, wait a second. Clean tech could involve ag, it could involve forestry, it could involve fisheries. Oh no, wind and solar only. And it's like, well, why would we not want to create a business environment within this country that allowed IP to succeed, Canadian IP to succeed, and incentivize the SMEs and the M&Es within our backyard to actually adopt that technology and prove it here, so that it gains market traction that can then grow in global opportunities.